The story of Thanksgiving you and I were taught in elementary school is at the very least a Disney-fied version. And it's not the first time we've been duped about Indigenous people's place in U.S. history. I'm looking at you, Pocahontas.
Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon?
Here's a list of things not at the first Thanksgiving. Turkey, pumpkin pie, mashed potatoes, and your extended family's angst. What many of us know about Thanksgiving is incredibly inaccurate.
There's a romanticized version of Thanksgiving. Children are dressing up as so-called Indians on Thanksgiving. They don't even know what tribe was involved. They have no idea who we are and what our history has been.
So how did history transform the tale of Indigenous people and pilgrims into a harmonious coming together with a feel-good story? Sneak peek. The Civil War and Mary Had a Little Lamb play a big role. And how does our telling and retelling and teaching of Thanksgiving affect the nation's dialogue about Indigenous people and the issues they face?
The Thanksgiving celebrated in the U.S. is this American myth, but it is really an erasure of the history of Indigenous peoples.
Hey fam, I'm Imayan, this is AJ Plus, and this Sunday we're exploring the real story of Thanksgiving, why we learn about it the way we do, and how it impacts all of us. So get ready to gorge on a plate full of facts. Let's get into this cornucopia of knowledge, shall we? So many of us were taught the Pilgrims and the Native Americans shared a meal in 1621 to celebrate the new settlers' good harvest. Come on, you remember Plymouth Rock, the Mayflower, lots of feel-good vibes, etc., etc., etc. Like this Schoolhouse Rock jingle taught a generation of kids.
They finally knocked on Plymouth Rock, and someone said we're there. It may not look like home, but at this point I don't care.
Well, the truth sounds more like a story from an on-duty neighborhood wash captain. The Wampanoag was a tribe of what we call the first Thanksgiving, and I'll let tribal member Ramona Peters explain what really went down.
There's a lot of things that Americans don't realize about what was going on in 1620. They finally got a good crop and they had a celebration in which, unknown to us, they celebrated by shooting off guns. We didn't know who they were shooting at, so our men arrived to investigate.
Peters says the Indigenous people and settlers stayed together for a few days because back then, every day was a hunt for food. Hashtag old school organic. And that's what actually happened on the first Thanksgiving. You see, Native Americans and Pilgrims weren't BFFs. Their relationship was much more transactional and wary. They had a treaty that basically said, you watch my back and I'll watch yours. Peters says our current collective memory of Thanksgiving doesn't accurately reflect how those two groups viewed each other.
Everything was always cautious with them. The English were not that thrilled to mingle with us. They were very afraid, and the way they lived and the way we lived was so different. We didn't really spend that much time together closely.
So now you're wondering, well then, Imayan, how did we get our current idea about Thanksgiving? Answer: Abraham Lincoln. The nation was in the middle of a bloody battle, severing it in two when the 16th president declared the last Thursday of November a day of thanks in 1863. He hoped the move would unify the country. I'm sure you feel that unity every time you sit across the table from your extended family on that Thursday in November. Tastes like harmony. Lincoln's proclamation came after a woman named Sarah Josepha Hale spent more than 30 years lobbying for such a holiday. You know SJH as the author of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Go ahead and bank that little tidbit for an upcoming trivia night. You're welcome. Peters says she considers the act of Thanksgiving an integral part of our culture.
I think it's important and it should continue. I like it to stimulate interest in Native American people who have survived and are still around.
Enter the Indigenous Peoples Sunrise Ceremony, which used to be known as Unthanksgiving. It's an annual gathering at the former prison Alcatraz that began in 1975. And Morningstar Galley has been attending it since she was a young child. Now she brings her children to it to honor and remember the Native American dead.
It looks very different in terms of holding a ceremony with a dozen people versus 5,000 people. But the intention is still the same. I continue to go in terms of carrying the message and holding a responsibility to teach my children and to share with my children the true history of our people.
The gathering is not just about recognizing the dead. It also commemorates the 1969 to 1971 occupation of Alcatraz by Indians of all tribes. That's when a group of Native Americans claimed it was theirs by right of discovery. Today, the act of discovering things that are already there is better known as Columbusing. The occupants wanted to buy the island for $24 in glass beads and a red cloth, the same price the indigenous people supposedly received for Manhattan. Their goal was to transform the prison into a school and a cultural center for indigenous children. It never happened, but the demonstration did galvanize Native American activists who today use the Unthanksgiving as a reminder of their continued fight for recognition.
We are not extinct, that we are still here and still standing.
Galli says the country needs to highlight the historical references of natives coming to the table, being poisoned, and given blankets infested with smallpox.
Ideally, I feel that what has been established as a National Day of Mourning is a time of reflection and a time of acknowledgement.
And almost 400 years after the first Thanksgiving, Native Americans continue to fight for recognition and respect. The people the census identifies as American Indians and Alaska Natives make up less than 2% of the population, and many of those people live in poverty. Their median household income of about $37,000 is around 31% lower than the national average. There are also environmental struggles. Native American reservations have had industrial waste dumped in them, polluting rivers, lakes, and tribal lands. And there's what Peters calls their most pressing issue.
The biggest issue for all tribal people is racism. There's no way to get around that. Even our neighbors who live around us, they don't really understand us.
Is it possible one key to understanding Native Americans' plight is to fully acknowledge and embrace the accurate history of Thanksgiving? Hey guys, you just joined us for the true story of Thanksgiving, but what I really want to talk about right now is the food. I have never eaten so many mashed potatoes in my life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us next Sunday for another awesome video. Please ignore our sad fake turkey, and let us know in the comment section what you would like to see us do next. I'm actually going to eat this pumpkin pie now, so see you next week.